In this lesson, we're going to do some problems involving some simple probability. So if you take a look at this first scenario, it says, assume you roll a fair six-sided dice. Find each of the following probabilities. So in a fair six-sided dice, we have number sides that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on them. So basically we have 6 total possibilities. So in this first example, it says find the probability of finding an odd number, of rolling an odd number. So since we have a total of 6 possibilities, the bottom is 6. And then what we have to do is look at all of the numbers that are odd. So here we have 1, 2, 3 odd numbers. So there are 3 possibilities out of a total of 6. Okay, so again, on the bottom, you put the total outcomes. And then on the top, you put the number of possibilities. Okay, so, oops, you see the E in there. Possibilities. Okay, so now if we work this out, if we simplify this, 3 and 6 can both be divided by 3. So this simplifies to 1 over 2. And then as a decimal, you would do 1 divided by 2, and you get 0.5, which is the same as 50%. So our answer would be 1 over 2, or 50% for our probability. So let's take a look at another example. Okay, so if you look at this one, it's what is the possibility of rolling a prime number? So what we need to do is we need to look at our possibilities and figure out which ones are prime. Okay, so I'm going to denote this with yellow. So I'll underline this in yellow. So we're going to do this one in yellow. All right, so prime is any number that is divisible by only 1 in itself. Okay, so the number 1 is prime. 2 is only divisible by 1 in itself, so that's prime. 3 is divisible by 1 in itself, so it's prime. 4 is divisible by 2, so that one is not prime. 5 is divisible by 1 in itself, so it's prime. 6 is divisible by 2 and 6, so that one is not prime. So if you look at our total possibilities, there were 6 total possibilities, and you can see at the top we had 1, 2, 3, 4 prime numbers. So the possibility of rolling a prime number is 4 out of 6. So 4 and 6 are both divisible by 2. So if we divide them both by 2, this simplifies down to 2 over 3. And if you divide 2 by 3, you get 0.6 repeating, which if I write that out, 0.66666, and then we have to move the decimal 2 places to the right. So this is 66.6 repeating percent. So our answer is 2 out of 3, or 66.6 repeating percent. All right, let's take a look at another example. So let's do the probability of not rolling a 2. So probability of not rolling a 2. If you look up here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possibilities that are not 2 out of the 6 total outcomes. So our probability is 5 over 6. And 5 and 6 are not divisible by any common factors other than 1, so it does not simplify. So we would do 5 divided by 6 and get 0.83 repeating, which if we move the decimal 2 places gives us 83.3 repeating percent. So our probability for this one is 5 out of 6, or 83.3 repeating percent. All right, taking a look at another example. Choose another color here. We'll do orange this time. So this one is the probability of rolling a 1, 4, 5, or 6. So if we go up here, we have a 1, 4, 5, and 6. So there are 4 possibilities out of the 6 total outcomes. All right, in this example, both of these numbers are divisible by 2. So we can simplify this to 2 over 3, which if you divide it is 0.6 repeating, which is the same example as above. So that is 66.6 repeating percent. So the answer, or the possible outcomes, is 2 out of 3, or 66.6 repeating percent. All right, we're going to do one last example. We'll do this one in blue. So the probability of rolling a 0. Well, if you look up here, there are no zeros as an outcome. There are no zeros. So we have a 0%, or 0 chances of getting a 0 out of the 6 possible outcomes that we have. When you divide 0 by 6, you get 0, which is the same as 0%. So the probability of rolling a 0 is 0 out of 6, or 0%. So those are some examples of simple probability based on dice rolling. Let's take a look at another scenario. All right, so in this scenario, it says you have a standard deck of playing cards. Find the following probabilities. Well, some of you might be very familiar with a deck of playing cards, and some of you might not. So I'm going to write down some of the important information. So in a deck of playing cards, there are 52 total cards. Okay, there are 4 different suits. Okay, there are diamonds, clubs, hearts, and spades. And in each suit, there are 13 cards. Okay, so there are 13 cards of each suit. There's an ace, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then a jack, queen, and king of each suit. So if you take a look at this one, the first question is, what's the probability of getting a jack? Okay, well, our total outcomes are 52. Okay, and there is a jack of every suit. So there's a jack of hearts, there's a jack of spades, there's a jack of diamonds, and there's a jack of clubs. So there are 4 different jacks in the deck. All right, so we have 4 possibilities of getting a jack out of the 52 different options. Now, 4 and 52 are both divisible by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 52 divided by 4 is 13. So this simplifies down to 1 over 13. And if you divide that, it's 0.07693, which is the same, if I move the decimal, as about, we're going to round that to 8%. So the probability of getting a jack is 1 out of 13, or 8%. All right, let's take a look at another example. So this one says, what's the probability of getting a club? Well, like I told you up here, there are 4 different suits, and there are 13 cards in every suit. So there are 13 clubs in the deck out of the total 52 cards. Now, 13 and 52 are both divisible by 13. So if I divide them both by 13, this simplifies to 1 over 4. And if we do 1 divided by 4, you get 0.25, which is the same as 25%. So the probability of drawing a club is 1 out of 4, or 25%. All right, the probability of getting a black card. Okay, well, in the 4 suits, you have hearts and diamonds, which are both red, and you have spades and clubs, which are both black. Okay, so 2 of the suits are black, and each of the suits has 13 cards. So 13 times 2 means there's 26 total black cards in the deck out of 56 total. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Out of 52 total. So to simplify, both of these numbers are divisible by 26. So if you do that, you get 1 over 2. And if you divide by 1 by 2, you get 0.5, or 50%. So the probability of getting a black card is 1 out of 2, or 50%. And that makes sense if you think about it, because if 2 suits are red and 2 suits are black, then half of the cards in the deck are black. All right, the last question is, what's the probability of getting the 5 of diamonds? Well, if you look up here again, there's 13 cards that are diamonds, but there's only one card of each type in each suit. So there's only one 5 of diamonds in the deck out of 52 total. So if we do 1 divided by 52, you get 0.019231, which is the same if I move the decimal 2 places as about 2%. So the probability of getting a 5 of diamonds is 1 out of 52, or 2%. So those are some examples of simple probability with basic playing cards. All right, this one says, consider the spinner and find the following probabilities. So the probability of getting yellow. So if you look at the spinner, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. So there are 5 possibilities, and they're all equal. They're all the same size. And only one of those sides is yellow. So the probability of getting a yellow is 1 out of 5. If you divide 1 by 5, you get 0.2, which is the same as 20%. So the probability of getting yellow is 1/5 or 20%. All right, the probability of getting purple or red. Well, if you look at the spinner, we have one purple section and one red section. So there's 2 sections that are purple or red out of a total of 5. That does not simplify, and if you divide, you get 0.4, which is 40%. So the probability of getting purple or red is 2 out of 5, or 40%. The probability of not getting blue. Well, if you look at the spinner, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections that are not blue. So 4 sections are not blue out of the 5 total sections. This does not simplify, so if you divide it, you get 0.8, which is the same as 80%. All right, and the last question says the probability of spinning a white. Well, if you look at the spinner, there are no white sections on the spinner. So there are 0 chances of getting white out of the 5 possibilities. If you divide this, you get 0, which is the same as 0%. So 0 out of 5, or 0%. So there you have some examples of calculating simple probability.